great humanitarian crises of its time still resonates in Africa. It was a war when the eastern part of Nigeria, which was mainly Christian, dominated by the Igbo tribe, broke away from Muslim-dominated West Nigeria, its own state Biafra, fought a brutal, bitter war, held out for 3 years, but then was starved into submission.
We saw the president saying at the court, that they don't know how they are not responsible. They should bring in. Wow, Buhari, Malami, and Femi Adesina got involved into Nnamdi Kanu's mess. I think it has backfired.
Yeah, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night, wherever you're watching us from. I remember humble self, Evangelist Benjamin Johnson S.S. Nachi, one and the only Biafran evangelist. I will continue to speak the truth and nothing but the truth. I've been telling you concerning regard to this spirit of Biafra, whenever it rises, you will see everybody, because spiritual controls the physical. You will see everybody running helter-skelter, in the state, and they will be finding themselves in the state of confusion. And that is the state where Nigeria have found themselves. You can see everybody in the court, both the DSS, they are not denying being involved of kidnapping Nnamdi Kanu. Malami, Buhari, and El-Rufai, and their Femi Adesina and co. They are all now saying that. Then who, if they are not the one that kidnapped Nnamdi Kanu, who did? Is it Tinubu that just entered position now that kidnapped Nnamdi Kanu? I want to know. Or is it Omotosho that just assumed the office to preside over these trials? Is it the one that kidnapped Nnamdi Kanu? How did the Nnamdi Kanu get to enter the country? And who was in power when Nnamdi Kanu was kidnapped from Kenya? Was it not Buhari? And I will not forget so soon, Lai Muhammad, who made a promise and a vow that who will help them to, kidnap Nnamdi Kanu will be paid $100 million. He made it a broadcast. The broadcast that anybody that will help them to catch kidnap Nnamdi Kanu will be paid. Any country that does that will receive $100 million from the federal government of Nigeria. It was under the government of Muhammadu Buhari. I wonder why they are now running away. And of which, you could remember, as at that time, Nnamdi Kanu was in London. And Nnamdi Kanu being a London man, and you know what the British, if they should embark on that kind of journey, their image will be completely tarnished. And in order for them not to tarnish their image, they have to hands off. And remember, there was a group organization called Interpol. And that Interpol was a French Interpol that was used to track Nnamdi Kanu whereabouts in Kenya. And that was what they used, because Kenya is a wretched country. With the help of the government, as at that time, the former president of Kenya, the former government of Kenya now collected the money with the help of the Interpol and beat Nnamdi Kanu into coma.
That reminds me that what the headquarters of Interpol located in France said recently that the top leaders in Interpol is not aware that whoever that's involved should be brought to book. I think they are just reacting to the trial that is going on. Interpol said they are not aware of what happened. Nigeria police said they are not aware. DSS police said they are not aware. Then who is aware? That's the question.
That is the area I am standing now. If these people, both Interpol, all of them are not denying it, let them ask Kenya. Because Nnamdi Kanu was kidnapped from Kenya, and before he was kidnapped from Kenya down to Nigeria, he was beaten to coma. So he was in the state of coma when he was brought down to Nigeria. And who are the people that brought? You can remember why we the Biafrans are against the late Ifeanyi Uba. Have you forgotten? The late Ifeanyi Uba, of which his plane was used to kidnap Nnamdi Kanu from Kenya to Nigeria. You remember that was the angers of the people that which they refused to bury him when he was supposed to be buried when they brought the corpse down to Nigeria.
Okay, are you saying that likely it's possible that Lai Muhammad, federal government gave Ifeanyi Uba 100 million to facilitate the kidnapping of Nnamdi Kanu?
Not that Kenya. They give only Ifeanyi Uba. I said they pay to Kenya government. with the help of Interpol, French Interpol, the people that track the place of Mazen Nnamdi Kanu, where he is or where he was in Kenya, before the Kenya government as at that time sent their boys right there where Mazen Nnamdi Kanu was, and they beat him up there because he tried to resist them to defend himself. They beat him up to coma, and you know the way they brought Mazen Nnamdi Kanu down to Nigeria? They zip him like a dead body inside a sack down to Nigeria here. Do you understand me? So if these people now are not denying it, ask Lai Mohammed, although he's a lie man, so he can deny if Buhari can deny.
I don't think he's still lying, you know, whether he has repented like a whole post of them.
Maybe, actually, maybe he has repented with the whole post of them. Why am I making point of calling somebody like Latifan Yoba? Because his plane was used. So definitely there are people that are involved in kidnapping Mazen Nnamdi Kanu into Nigeria. And let me tell you, if these people are denying, where was Mazen Nnamdi Kanu coming from to the courts? Was he not under the DSS? Then if you say you are not involved, how come Mazen Nnamdi Kanu is being detained by DSS? Where is he detained by under your custody? Where is he detained in your department? Because we have military, we have police, we have other places, you know, where Mazen Nnamdi Kanu could be detained if you say you are not involved. Do you understand? So, and where is he coming from to court? Was he not from the DSS department? That he comes every time he appears in the court. The DSS will escort him to the court. DSS will escort him back to the office, their place, where they kept him. You understand? So, if all these people are not denying it, that means there is light coming at the end of the tunnel. Mazen Nnamdi Kanu and Biafra and IPOB has finally conquered Nigeria. Once again, you can see what played in the court. In the court examination, you can see even the masquerade that appear as a witness, they not know anything over what they have appeared to defend or to bear witness of. Do you understand? And if you watch it, there is a statement, because I just want to, slice it now. You can watch. It has gotten to the point that even James Omotosho, the presiding judge, is now getting tired and getting fed up over the way Nigeria, cancer is handling, appearing to the issue. You understand? Because Mazen Nnamdi Kanu cancer team came up after Nigeria have showcased their own evidence, which they have against Mazen Nnamdi Kanu. They themselves brought so many evidences. They thought that Mazen Nnamdi Kanu conquered Nigeria in Abia State, Umuahia, and the one in Enugu State, and how brutal vandalized Mazen Nnamdi Kanu home with intention of to kill Mazen Nnamdi Kanu, and he has to escape. They were pointing that Mazen Nnamdi Kanu jumped to pay. It is only a tree that we hear say they want cutter, and he go stand there. When they saw that they want to kill him, you and I, everybody saw how Mazen Nnamdi Kanu home was destroyed completely. You cannot stand there. He has to jump back by escaping. He has to run away. Do you understand? So if that is the way to jump bay, I don't see it that one is a jumping bay, but Nigeria made him to jump bay. It's Nigeria that jump bay. It's Nigeria that break the law. So he has to escape for his dear life so that he can stand today to defend that the same allegation. So with all these videos and the one the federal court of the one in Abuja, appeal court, their own case, the one that the last one that they judged over Mazen Nnamdi Kanu, they presented everything, and the Omotosho agreed that with that action that Nigeria federal government took against Mazen Nnamdi Kanu was against Mazen Nnamdi Kanu human rights, was against her rights, civic rights in this country, and they admitted with all this admission show that Mazen Nnamdi Kanu is coming out victoriously, and Nigeria is losing again. Do you understand? Nigeria is losing again regard to what is already playing on the ground. Finally, to summarize it, Omotosho has given Nigeria legal team to present their listing, or within 2 weeks, within the 6 days, let them choose one a day to present their listing, or else they will strike their listing and call it a weak one. And if that happens, you know what it means. So it will be a very huge slap to the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
It looks like Tinubu want to use Mazen Nnamdi Kanu's case to attack Buhari because of election issues. Because I can see
not Buhari alone.
Okay.
Not Buhari alone. This is politics. He want to use Nnamdi case, to expose, to tell Nigerians to see the Northerners as the wicked people, to make the Igbos to see the Northerners as the one that hated them, as the one that don't want Nnamdi Kanu to be free. They have been an antagonist, so he want to place that more, the hatred of Igbos upon the Northerners. He want to the thing to increase for them to see him and the Yorubas as innocent people regard to Biafra issues or in the life or any case that pertain to Igbo man.
Okay,
that is politics.
Okay, away from that, we are seeing that Benjamin Netanyahu has, set up a security outfit. They are going to supervise Nnamdi Kanu security on release. What you are hearing now, whether it's been reported that already in the eastern part of the country, the Jewish people, the Israeli people, Benjamin Netanyahu has, sent Shin Bet. I think if I can remember, that's what we are hearing, to protect Nnamdi Kanu immediately he is being released. Are they trying to still identify that Biafra movement is like a Jewish state called Israel?
It is a Jewish nation. Biafra is a Jewish nation. You understand? The same father, but from another mother. Abraham has many wives. You understand? He did not marry only Sarah. You understand? So this is another mother from the same father. So another generation of the Jewish in Africa, Nigeria to be precise. Do you understand? So that is why he sent those council. You understand? Those council of security personnel, those that know what they are doing, so that they can be able, to secure Nnamdi Kanu release so vividly well. There is every tendency, in Nigeria, anything can happen.
Nnamdi Kanu protected.
Yes.
And they don't trust Nigeria to.
They don't trust Nigeria.
Not even the Eastern governor.
You cannot even trust them. Look at what the governor of Enugu State has done. Looking at who will become his personal chief advisor, he employed a Fulani, Usman Fodio lineage, in person of Usman Abubakar. So does it mean that in Enugu State we don't have a credible knowledge person, both in woman and man? So you don't have anybody in Enugu or in the entire Igbo, nobody qualified for that position that make him to go and hire an Hausa, a Fulani for that matter, in that position. And that was why Benjamin Netanyahu, Benjamin Netanyahu, I told you Benjamin Netanyahu is my senior brother. I've told you before. So my senior brother, my elder brother has to hire men, the able men, not just men, not immobile men, not incapable men, but the capable hand that can, secure Nnamdi Kanu so very well, so that by the time we be free, all those Fulani governors in the east will not use their boys to assassinate him, or Nigeria too to assassinate him, for them to say they have freed him, then he was killed or is being killed. So that was why the man prepared. He's a wise man. He's a wise man. You can see what what is it called? Putin, did in Burkina Faso, regardless of protection of Ibrahim Traore. He called him, that is my son. He called Ibrahim Traore his son. Okay, so Netanyahu now is now seeing us as their brothers, extended family. You understand? So we are the extended family of the Jews. So he himself is now seeing Nnamdi Kanu as another brother, as another younger brother, as another, generation, family, that it is time to reconcile together. Maybe there is an issue before, definitely teeth and mouth must have issue. That issue is what we want to reconcile today and settle it, so that there will be a Jewish Biafra in African continents.
An ally of the Jewish Israeli state. Kudos to Benjamin Netanyahu for that support.
It's effort.
Yes, it's effort, and for that support. Does it mean that they are beginning to? Already they know what is happening, but this support is extended to Nnamdi Kanu. What is the relationship? What is it? How would you describe that gesture? Is it a sign that the Israeli definitely are going to provide enough security when Biafra comes at the end of the day?
Of course. See, Israeli is Biafra, and Biafra are Israelis, both in the military, in everything that concerns Biafra concerns Israeli. Everything about Israeli will concern Biafra. Regard to Nnamdi Kanu as a person in the calendar, even in the picture. Nnamdi Kanu is a Jewish, and is a Judaism. You understand? It's a Judaist. So with that, tested and confirmed the truthfulness and the fruitfulness, both the spiritual aspect of it in him, and they concur in him, they are him, and he himself is not ready to go back from his faith. Why? You know, there was a time that the Israeli came to Anambra to pick our soil in order to go and test run, which they did. At the end of the day, they found out that truly these people, their blood and our blood is the same. So there is no doubt about it. Remember that time, which about 4 of them was arrested. They came with either canoe or something. They were arrested and later released. After like 4 days, they were released. You know, so okay, mystery.
The IPOB leader himself, Nnamdi Kanu. You can see on this background of this video, you can see what is happening again, and why this thing is going to trigger a lot of unrest and protest, you know, across Africa and across the world, you know, especially from the eastern part of the country, you know, where he came from. People are questioning the reason why they should actually continue with this trial, and why the eastern governors are keeping quiet. The political leaders in the eastern part of the country are keeping quiet. Benjamin Kalu, the deputy speaker, Odzo Kalu, Omahi, and the rest of them, so many of them are keeping quiet, you know. The only person that is showing sincerity of purpose is the guy from Ikwana constituency. I'm forgetting his name, you understand? I must give it to that man, you know, for being consistent to the issue that has to do with Nnamdi Kanu, you know, just coming and facing trial. We don't know the kind of trial we can call this actually, whether this thing has become an embarrassment to Nigerian judiciary. But Nnamdi Kanu seems like someone who is, you know, determined, like always before now, you know, highly focused, you know, he's not compromising, he's not having any reservation over anything. He's highly focused. We want to know who are they, who is confronting them. But so far so good. From what our findings and cross-examination by the defense team of Nnamdi Kanu, there's nothing incriminating yet that has been found. But I think that the government is trying to, you know, pick 1 or 2 things at the end of the day, compromise the process, you know, which people are saying currently now that Nnamdi Kanu is not supposed to go through trial. If he's going to go through trial, then the first thing they should do is to return him to Kenya. And we can see that immediately. So a lot of things are being played out here. You know, we are seeing everything about international community, allies of Nigeria connecting to Kenya. We saw Alexander Stubb of Finland, you know, coming to Kenya. A few days after he came to Kenya, you know, went back, there was this spread of incitement charges against Simon Ekpa, you know. So, and the same country, Kenya, is where these atrocities of kidnapping of Nnamdi Kanu actually happen. So it's going to send a lot of signal into people are asking now, what is actually the purpose of Bola Ahmed Tinubu, you know, instigating trial against Nnamdi Kanu? Is he preparing him for a possible jail? And what is also going to come out with at the end of the day? And, you know, I would thought by now this thing could have been fast tracked at the end of the day. People go they are separate and Nnamdi Kanu is set free. You know, because the sympathy is growing. There is this reservation everywhere. You know, and there's this thing of unity that is also breathing underground. Yes, because the South themselves and the Igbo people now, so let me just put it very well, seem to be, you know, coming together now. There's this synergy, there's this chemistry, you know, that's not yet there before. We saw what Tombolo and Igbo business people were able to do at that time, and they're coming together. So Nnamdi Kanu's trial is uniting the Biafran people, let me put it that way, and also preparing for all important day, which is May 30, the day Biafra was declared as a nation. So we are saying it, that day there's going to be a sit at home. Yes, let people sit at home, whether it's voluntarily or otherwise, we don't want to know, but let it be marked as a day that we honor those 6 million lives that was lost during the Nigeria-Biafra war. That takes us back to Nnamdi Kanu. As you continue to see him, the video is everywhere. And people are watching the court development and are saying, how people are waiting to see how they are going to navigate this thing to either the victory for the federal government or victory for the IPOB leader.
When you talk about victory for IPOB or victory for federal government, what do you think federal government is going to gain from jailing or sentencing Nnamdi Kanu? Because I even see that it is a win-win for federal government if they want to be honest for themselves, that they passed through a particular justice and they were able to, settle it, whether this way or that way. So I don't see that jailing Nnamdi Kanu we give federal government any kudos or any credit, apart from people that are waiting for him to be jailed, like Fulani.
Of course, that is the struggle we are into, because the Fulanis have already started calling that at the release of Nnamdi Kanu, I will become a threat to the northern part of the country. I'm releasing Nnamdi Kanu, there will be nothing like Fulani again. Releasing Nnamdi Kanu, the Hausa consciousness will be reawakened again. Releasing Nnamdi Kanu, a lot of things will happen. Nigeria can break up. It's going to get global attention. It's going to bring this. A lot of nations will want to factor in. It might lead to deals, that might forcefully break Nigeria. It can get the Russian attention. If Nnamdi Kanu can bring Putin to Nigeria. That's a fact. Because you can see what China and Russia are trying to do now in Africa to make sure that the UK and the American influence, is totally dismantled. And the Africans are buying into it because they didn't benefit anything from them. And that is the fact. The Nigerian oil and gas resources that is deposited in the eastern